welcome everybody to our first session of AI in 30. My name is Federico Gomez Uroz. I am an instructional consultant with the TLC. We would like to welcome you to the series. I'm gonna share again on the chat the link to the series, and if you want to see what's coming, we basically have one session every 2 weeks from now until the beginning of December, and we're going to have different presenters and different tools. For this series, the goal is to have short practical workshops that basically explore one tool or one aspect of using AI for teaching and learning. So you will see that each session kind of like will have a different focus, either because of the tool or because of the type of skills or actions and activities that we get to do with those tools. For today's session, our goal is to focus on large language models. I'm going to try not to be very technical because our goal is actually to show more than tell, but these are the big AI tools that you hear today: the ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. Our own UTverse is, uses a large language model to provide you a way to interact with this AI tool. And our goal today is how do we get to use them for the work that we do on curriculum and course design. Basically, when we focus on that, we're also going to be doing a lot of practical application today. So we will move into a window of ChatGPT. In my case, that's the one that I normally use, and we will use a general prompting framework to how can we maximize that for course design tasks. And then finally, we will have a short, section with tips and recommendations on how to use these tools moving forward. The idea is that, these sessions are so concentrated that we still want to leave, those 5 minutes at the end to have some questions. But I will stay if you want to ask more questions after the time is over. But, we're trying to keep it so everybody has a lot of the time and we can go through all the session before that. I ask that you mute your microphones if you haven't done so already, so we can go through it without interruptions and without noises, that kicking. Some people get really distracted with those things. Plus, the presenter normally can get completely derailed. So thank you for that in advance. For this session, we are going to be introducing what LLMs are. I'm going to do that very, very, very fast because, again, I'm not trying to do a presentation about these tools and what they are and how we come here. But today, when we talk about AI, we use a lot of different terms, kind of like interchangeably. But you need to know that basically it's just from more general to more precise or concise. It's all the same thing. We're all talking about artificial intelligence, which is the big field. In reality, what we're going to be doing today is using generative AI tools, which are called LLMs. So basically, this is kind of like the progression of how we get here. And we're going to talk about specifically how these models can help us do some of the work that we do in curriculum and course design. Specifically, models like ChatGPT or, like GPT-5, Llama are the name of the models. The commercial tools have other names. So when it comes to the commercial tools, you are going to have, the names that you can recognize the most. UTverse is our own implementation of ChatGPT with boundaries for the use within UTHSC and UT in general. It's made and put together by our colleagues in UT Knoxville that did a great work on that implementation, and they keep working to make it sure that it's more accessible and more useful to us. ChatGPT is kind of like the most known commercial tool. Copilot, we also have access to it through our Microsoft 365, and Gemini is the Google model. So, that's another one that we know as well. Claude, it's starting to be more known because they are starting to make a strong push for using their model within education. So you can read and see a lot of more talking about Claude these days. Basically, most of these models have a free account that you can actually use. Today, I will use the free account of ChatGPT, so I will not use a paid account. Other models like UTverse, in our case, is only open to us as like UT faculty and staff for the different tasks and work that we can do with that tool. Some of the uses we're going to focus on today are related to basically brainstorming about course design and curriculum design, developing learning outcomes, activities, assessments, resources, case scenarios, all the things that are part of working on putting together a course, a new course, or redeveloping a course that we already have. In order to do that, in order to use these tools, the basic skill that we are going to be able to use and that is required today, it's prompting. Like many things commercial, what you get when you start on working with new technology, there's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of, like commercial buzz about all these things, and prompting was the big skill that we needed to do. As an instructional designer, prompting is what we normally write for ourselves, to write clear, structured instructions on how to do stuff. And for me, it just became a matter of transferring that into how to interact with the AI tool. But basically, prompting is the skill of giving clear, structured instructions so the AI tool can give you a result that is useful and relevant to you, to the needs that you have. There are many prompting frameworks, and the more you go into social networks like LinkedIn, when there's a lot of professionals trying to share their view on things, the more prompting frameworks you get. There are frameworks that work more on the business side of things because of the type of tasks that you're asking the AI to do. There are frameworks that work much better for, like an educational use of these tools. So I'm using the one that I got from one of the AAMC webinars, which is Tracy, TRACI. And because I'm a completionist, I added the E at the end because in reality, that part of the prompting is always there. So the prompting framework I'm going to use today basically is going to ask the AI tool, it's going to show what I want it to do, who the tool should act as. This is important because it provides the necessary context to who is presenting, who will be presenting these. So it's different for a task to be completed as a, like person that is a consultant that is going to present the result of this work that we're completing today to a potential customer than being a professor that is interacting with the tool, creating a new course. The role provides the tool with enough context to modify the output. Who is this for? Who is the audience that is going to actually receive this product? What form should the output take? It's also important for the tool to do a work that is useful to us, and what the intent it is. What is it? What are we trying to achieve with this interaction with the tool? And I added the last step there because once you have the first output, what you want to do is always refine. So refining the output becomes how do we work it out so at the end of the process we have something that is useful and relevant to what we needed. So think about what we're going to be doing in the next, in the next section as a process to implement this prompting framework to the needs that we have as people that actually work on curriculum and course design. For the demo mode, I am going to actually stop sharing momentarily, and then I'm gonna start sharing a screen with the tool for today. As I told you, I'm gonna be using ChatGPT, but the same process works in Utiverse, in Gemini, in Copilot, in any of the large language models. Commercial products will react to prompting in a pretty similar way. What it's different is how they approach the task itself. This is the free implementation, the free account for ChatGPT as it currently stands. A couple of things before we start with the actual working with the tool. It's going to be, for those of you who are familiar with these, they've, if I had prepared this presentation a week ago, some things will have changed, which they have. So now there is a way to turn on the temporary chat, so you can actually have a chat that does not stay in memory of ChatGPT at all. Once you're done with the chat, it gets deleted and none of the information stays moving forward. If you want to work on a task or a project for a while, then you want to actually keep that memory, at least for the chat itself. You also can change how you have the tool either keep the memory, use the results to train the model. I have all that set up to off because I don't want to have any privacy issues when I'm interacting with the tool. So I keep it not training the model. I keep it not remembering any information across chats. So within the chat, it will remember what we did, but outside of that chat, I will need to get started if I'm doing a similar task again. In a paid version of most of these models, you have the chance to actually keep chats within projects or folders. So all of those chats can interact together and can keep memory of what you're doing. That may be useful if you're doing a long project, which I will say creating a new curriculum and putting together a new course, it's a long project. So I will also recommend that if you're going to work with these models, you find a way to actually keep these so you don't need to re-enter a lot of this information often. So the most of these models have a central chat box where you can start interacting with the model, and that's what I'm going to start doing. Today's work is about doing work with the prompting, and what I'm going to do is actually share in the chat our prompting elements to kind of like see what elements are there. So for you to keep in mind, this is our prompting framework, the Tracy framework, and it's going to be in your chat window. So if you need to refer to that at any point, that is the element that we can use. Hopefully you can see it in the chat window. If not, please let me know. If you remember, the prompting framework refers to offering the tool what you need. And I'm going to start with a very general prompt. So this is not going to be a prompt following the trace. So basically you got something like what you want to do. I'm an instructional designer and I need to put together a course for faculty on teaching with AI. So I can prompt the tool and I can give it a very generic instruction. This is what I need. I need you to help me create a course for using AI in teaching. As you see, there's not a lot of context. Without that context, it's like asking self-driving car to take you home without having programmed where home is, giving it an address. So imagine that you do that to a self-driving car. The results could be all kinds of things. However, these tools are getting much better. These tools are getting to learn from us through the last months, and I put it in months because that's how fast they evolve. And they already know that people are asking these questions. They have learned what's the kind of like trends that are going out right now. So it's going to give me an answer, and it's going to be a very organized answer. But the problem is not if the answer is organized, sounds good, the grammar is good, the organization may be great, but these may not be what I need. There may be great ideas here for me to use. There may be a good way for me to actually put all these to work. However, without me being more specific, without providing context, without doing that prompting as a clear and structured way, these results may look great, but it may not be what I need. This is one thing that I'm going to repeat at the end. You are in the driving seat. A lot of people think that these tools, because they can put an output out there that looks very well done and it's well organized, that still doesn't change the fact that we are in the driving seat. This is not what I need, because our medallions don't work on a 6 to 8 weeks class, like blended or week workshops. That's not how it works. So some of you know our medallions very well. So this is not gonna cut it. This is not gonna work for me. So instead of that, I took the Tracy framework, and I'm going to actually show you what the tool does if I prompt it a little bit more specifically. So I'm going to start a new chat, and I am going to post a prompt that I've built, and I'm going to show you a little bit how it contains the different elements of the Tracy framework. So first, I've been clear about my task from the beginning. I want to create a 4-module course on using AI for teaching and learning. I'm even quote unquote here so I can start introducing what naming and titles and tagging elements could be there. I've told the role to the tool, act as an instructional designer working in a health sciences university. That's me. That works with faculty on their teaching and learning needs. This is context. I can be more specific about these or less specific, but without enough context, the result is not going to be useful and relevant to me. Then I'm going into the create part. If what are the elements that I want here? So I've already introduced my audience, faculty on the teaching, faculty on a health sciences university. I want to create a 4-module course. That's the first element. Needs to be 4 modules in using AI and in using AI in teaching and learning. I am going to give it some context about it. It will be delivered online asynchronously. It will include some checkpoints for faculty to meet with an instructional consultant throughout. It will use a framework called Mitigate, Support, Elevate about how to face elements in the AI interaction with education. It will present faculty those 3 approaches when completing assignments. So I'm trying to give some context of what my idea looks in paper right now. It's going to use an experiential learning framework, which is a very well recognized learning theory and framework, and it's going to not need much more explanation than that. And then I want it to create learning objectives, a list of aligned learning activities and assessments. I want to consider that the course needs to be between 20 and 25 hours to complete. This is to kind of like curve the type of assignments or assessments that it thinks about. The course is intended to support faculty. This is my intent. This is what I'm trying to do and accomplish with these in their exploration of AI tools and the uses that they can do in teaching and learning. And also create an opportunity for the reflection on those risks and opportunities, which are kind of like our everyday now when considering this technology. And once I have that, I'm going to make it run. And it's going to be sometimes very fast. Sometimes if you get the new models, they tell you how long they have been thinking. So, but now what I'm getting here, it's a different output based on my prompting. And again, this is what I start working with once the prompting, is done. This is what I start refining. Okay, so there are things about uploading documents that the question in the chat you will see in a minute. I'm going to be able to upload a document here, but again, the documents stay within the chat. They cannot be preserved. So once the chat is done, all that I can delete the chat, and all that will be deleted. It will not stay in your library or permanently in your account. So now I have kind of like overview of the course with course learning objectives. These will be the first part as an instructional designer that I will look at as a person that needs to put this course together, in my case. Then the course modules, it will tell me, okay, so first module, we're going to be working with these. Second module, we're going to explore AI tools for teaching and learning. Third module, we're going to be designing teaching and learning activities. Fourth module, we're going to do reflection on ethics and action planning. This is now showing me how it's integrating that mitigate, support, elevate stance into the design. It's also giving me the assessment summary for how much those things could be worth. That may work for me or not. Our medallions don't work on a regular course structure for grading. So I may not use this part and just, use our grading structure. And then, I have a very clear picture of the overview of the course. However, this is not what the specifically, this is not clearly what the mitigate, support, elevate framework does. So in order to give it some context, I'm going to realize, okay, so let's reconsider these. Let's refine these now, adding the elements here that are important for me for this framework. So I'm going to upload a picture that I have of a slide I created showing what this approach does, the elevate, the mitigate, support, and elevate. And I'm going to tell it, this is new context, please revisit your output based on these. This is the mitigate, support, and elevate framework So I am trying to now work with it to provide a little bit more of context. This is a slide that shortly reflects that. This is an image, by the way. So it's going to read the image. Even if text is there, it will recognize the text. And it's going to actually reconsider what it's done based on that element. So now I can go in and see if it's really, really understanding the elements here, like, so as you see, now I have in module 2 a much more precise understanding of that framework. Experiment with AI detection, redesigning prompts to reduce AI misuse, or authentic assessment strategies. That's really, really a much better, concise approach to what the mitigate, support, elevate framework that I want to use is. And sometimes, I do a lot of sketching, so I will put it into an image and I will fit it into the tool so it can help me consider all these elements. So this gives me a big picture of the overview of the course. I'm now can move into creating specific elements. So I can move my workflow forward and say, I'm going to edit some of these things. So one of the first things that you can do in these elements is consider what is it good for you, what is it not good for you. If there's anything that you will change, if there will be, download it, take it, modify, and then feed it back and say, this is my edits to your answer. Considering these, then let's move into creating this or that element. I'm going to move forward and I'm going to try to move into this assessment tool, and I'm going to ask to see how that could look like. Typing is not in my. So I'm taking part of the output and I'm asking about how will that look like? And that will give me a lot of typing that it will need to take for me to type all these into the LMS to create the assignment. I already have something to start with. One of the things that I want you all to consider is that you are all experts, which means that for all of you on something that you are an expert, it takes much less time to see these and change it, adjust it, critically edit it than it takes for all of us to actually type all these and then revise it. And sometimes we miss things because time and effort and constraints, and life happening. So it's helping me change my approach to how to do this task. So I'm going to stop sharing because we are getting into time and give you a short series of tips based on how the use of these tools could help you improve some of those tasks. And some of them are a little bit counterintuitive. I had to, take a moment to consider some of them, like the first one. So when it comes to using these large language models, these commercial tools, one thing that I never thought about it in the beginning was the idea of comparing outputs from different models. The idea here is if I'm using it for brainstorming or if I'm using it to get an output that works a little bit more aligned to the way I think maybe or to the way I build, different models may give me different answers, and I may find that there may be a good thing in both of them that I can actually put together and then continue working with one of them. So when you have the time, and thanks to these tools, we can actually use the time to be a little bit more precise on our building. I will use it to compare outputs from different models. Gemini and ChatGPT, UTverse and versus Copilot, that both of them are available to you, could be a good thing for you to know. I have a good prompt. I think the prompt really is going to do what I need. Compare it and see what the outputs are, and use that as your first step to refinement. Second, you can always provide more or better context. Think about these tools as an assistant, somebody that can work with you and can help you do a lot of things. But the more context, the better the context, the more structured it is, the easier it is for the tool to provide something you can really use on that refinement without doing a lot of more work before the refinement. If you have a prompt that works well, if you start kind of like seeing, hey, when I prompted this way, it's working well for me, reuse it, save it, and reuse it. I can tell you that we use, at the TLC for some of the things that we use some of the AI tools to see how to explore the uses in teaching and learning. Sometimes we find a good prompt, keep it, so we can actually reuse it and see if it stays, useful and relevant to us. Keep privacy rules in mind. Always, whatever tool you're using, take a moment in the beginning to figure out how privacy works for them, figure out how to set it up in a way that makes you feel comfortable so you can actually use it without being concerned. And also don't do certain things like inputting files or information that it's personal into these tools, even if you have set up the privacy rules. Second to last, always fact check these outputs. It's one of those things that, like always is necessary, no matter which tools we are using. Double check, in the old days that your calculations are correct. Fact check today, especially with things that are references or things like that can be found on the internet. And final, create a workflow that works for you. To be honest with you, for this presentation, I prepare a prompting structure. I don't work like that. That's not how it works for me. I like conversational style, and these tools adapt pretty well to that. So instead of doing a huge, big, well-built prompt in the beginning, I start with something simple, but I also tell the tool not to give me an answer right away, but to ask me questions. So I will start with, I need to create a course for teaching with AI. Ask me questions as an instructional designer. Ask me questions an instructional designer could ask that will help you give me a good answer to that. And then the tool will create those questions that I can use to answer, reflect, think, answer. And once these answers are in, it can do that. So I basically bypass the prompting because I'm going to do it as an interview style, if you want to put it like that. But the tool will tell me what it needs in order to create an output that makes sense. And so those questions will cover the basics. What's your audience? At what level is the course? What is your goal? So what are you trying to do? So keep that in mind when you're creating these elements and create a workflow that works for you. A reminder from the beginning, you are in the driver's seat. I'm gonna just leave it here. You are guiding the AI tool to give you what you need. They are not in control of this process unless you just prompt in a way that it's too general and then you are at the expense of that being really useful or wasting your time. So that would be the last thing for you to do. I'm going to open for questions and comments. We have a couple of minutes. I will stay after the hour. While we are on that, you can either drop it in the chat or unmute. I'm going to also be projecting the survey, the quick survey. Your feedback is really important to us. And for this series, we also are trying to adjust to make sure that they are useful to what you need. In the meantime, anybody has a question or a comment? Yes, triple check information, and cite sources, I think is definitely right there, Henry. So I like to check especially the references because, it's getting better, but sometimes it's still giving links to references that are not fully correct, although the text in the reference may be correct. So that is interesting how it will give you a link, but the link doesn't take you to the reference, although the text is correct, the citation is correct. Anybody has a question, quick question they want to put in, quick comment? Well, I hope this was useful. We're keeping it fast and hopefully quick and sweet on that. You can check the other events in the series as well. Let me post on the chat the toolkit that I promised in the beginning. It will also be included in the follow-up email. So, but if you want to take it right now, it's a one-page. It contains a quick challenge for you to try. It has 3 levels. So starting the level that makes you feel more comfortable. And if you have questions, if you have comments, if you want to check some things about your use of AI with any of us, just make an appointment. We are here for you. We are here to check with you anytime you need. Send us an email and we'll get back to you quickly. So hopefully you get a lot of, like good times exploring these tools. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks with Notebook LM. Thank you and have a great day.